Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Well, it is the 14th of September when I'm filming this, so we've still got some lovely sunshine and warm weather, and we're away on holiday next week. But you know, the days are starting to draw in. There's a little bit of a chill in the air in the evening, and I'm just starting to think I need to get some more slow stitching, crochet, that kind of thing going to do in the evenings. So I've got my Kawandi quilt all ready to get started on. I did another video about that the other day. I'll link that in the description box for this one. I've got a crochet project in the pipeline as well, but today what I wanted to show you is this one. Now this has been kind of in the pipeline for years. Let me show you what I've got on my desk. Some years ago I went to the Foundling Hospital in London, and I was so moved by it. It made such a massive impression on me. It was fascinating historically, but it was very moving to think about what some of the children that ended up in the Foundling Hospital and what their parents went to as well. So the Foundling Hospital was founded in the sort of early 1700s, and it wasn't until I think 1926, certainly 20th century, that they moved into a new building, and that didn't actually close until 1954. Children were still going into this Foundling Hospital in 1954, and it was quite a traumatic experience for many of them. I mean, they took their name away when they went in. I was flabbergasted by that. They just gave them a name. This is well, an idealised picture of the process that women had to go through when they brought their babies in. There were so many thousands of people struggling to look after their children that wanted to bring them to the hospital that they had this system where they pulled a ball out of a bag. If they got a white ball, their baby was accepted. If they got a black ball, they were rejected. So here's some other pictures. This lady's looking very crestfallen because she's drawn a black ball, and so the baby she's carrying in her arms has been rejected. This lady must be in two minds because she's got a white ball, and you can see the little face of her baby there. So she must be in two minds. She's got the white ball so the baby will be accepted, but she's now got to hand her baby over. Oh. So between 1741 and 1760, 16,282 children were admitted to the hospital, and only 152 were claimed back, because they were always encouraged to reclaim their children, but they had to prove that they were able to look after them. Oh, I mean, it just doesn't bear thinking. It chokes me up just thinking about it, really. Anyway, because they didn't take any details from the mother, it was all done anonymously because of the shame of it. They gave the child a new name. They took no details of the mother, not in his early days anyway, and they encouraged them to leave a token with the child to recognise the child by if they should want to reclaim them. And here's one of the tokens. So they would jot down as a whole list of the kind of clothes the babies might wear. They would have tokens. So this was the token. This silver ribbon is desired to be preserved as the child's mark for distinction. I'm assuming that the mum would keep a little piece herself as well. Oh, just, it's awful, isn't it? So that's a picture of the original Foundling Hospital. This one was demolished in 1926, and then they moved it out of the city, where it carried on until 1954. So here's some of the kinds of tokens. This is written in the mum's hand. Oh, Florella Burney, born June the 19th, 1758, in the parish of St Anne's, Soho, not baptised. Pray let particular care be taken of this child, as it will be called for again. Oh, and this little scrap of fabric. I'm choking up just reading it. Because when you think about it, the sad thing is that if that child had been claimed, this token wouldn't be here for us to be looking at now. In other words, she clearly had every intention of coming and taking the child home with her again, but she wasn't able to. Padlock and key left with babies as tokens. So I'm going to whip through this quite quickly now. One of the really fascinating things is the looking at all different kinds of fabrics. So I jotted down at one point the different kinds of fabrics that they had, because I want to make that part of my project. And it's interesting that they list the kind of clothes that babies would have had and blankets and things, and they tick off what this baby had when it came in. I don't even know what a roller is. A waistcoat, begin, forehead cloth. It's so moving. So you can go, they've got about 200, I think it is, of these tokens on permanent display at the Foundling Hospital Museum in London, if you ever get a chance to go. All these little pieces. Fascinating history of textiles. It's, you know, it's what a collection of fabrics to have. They also used ribbons and you know, other little tokens as well, like the padlocks and keys. There's a cockade, I think they call that. A bunch of ribbons. And they've detailed everything the baby came in with. Some fascinating stuff about ribbons and things in there. And there's a little cap diaper, a baby's cap made from linen diaper, fringed with lace. Foundling 1109, a boy. There's a picture there of a ballad singer holding a baby in her arms, dressed in a bag-like wrapper with separate sleeves. So yeah, it's fascinating. It gives you an insight into how babies would have been dressed as well. Beautiful little pieces of embroidery. This one was with Foundling 14084, a boy, admitted 3rd of October 1759. So, you know, we're over 14,000 already by then. Apparently between the years of 1741 and 1760, 16,282 children admitted. Only 152 reclaimed. 2/3 of them died. But of course infant mortality was very high then anyway. A bit of red cloth enclosed was pinned to the child's cap. So it's a heart cut from red woolen cloth. A ribbon of, I can't even say that, Padua soy silk. And a piece of linen diaper. Foundling 10563, a girl. Admitted 22nd of November 1758. Poor little scrap. A yellow ribbon tied around the wrist whereon was wrote that my name is Andrews. My name is Andrews. Oh, not anymore, bless you. Beautifully written as well. And it makes you think, you know, in those days not everybody could read and write by any means, so this was someone who was educated. I mean, sometimes it might have been quite well-to-do women who couldn't keep their babies because they were illegitimate, you know. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing. Oh, little bits of beautiful embroidery on there. Patchwork needle case made from printed and woven fabrics, embroidered with a heart and the initials SC, and cut in half. So it's cut in half. The mum's kept the other half, hasn't she? Foundling 16516, male. Christened, oh that's christened, yeah, with a cross, christened Charles. So he'd been christened, he was called Charles, but they renamed him Benjamin Twirl. Ah, reclaimed by his mother Sarah Bender on the 10th of June 1775. Oh, so why have we still got the token? Anyway, so that's the book. So then I thought I'd make my own little project book out of this, and I've been doing a bookmaking course with Nik the Booksmith. I'll do a link to her as well, and I thought this would be a nice subject for it, but I wasn't, before I open this I'll tell you, I really wasn't very happy with how this turned out, and that's why I'm going to start the project again this autumn. So on the front I've just called it tokens. I need to ink that in really. I've just used some upholstery fabric on it. I've done this little felt, I used the needle felting to create the heart. I wanted it to look a bit like this, the heart on the book. And that's got a pin through it, so I've put this pin through it. Oops, wobbling. It's one of these, I think it's a Tim Holtz thing. You can put a little slip of paper, it's like got a coil thing. You can put a little slip of paper in it and put a little picture or word. So I've put the word love on there. I just wasn't that happy with how it came out. I think it's mainly about my writing. Just hate it. You can see I've torn up some bits here. This is where I wrote down all the different kinds of fabrics. I wanted it to look like the writing in here. You know, where they show bits of... Yeah, I wanted it to look like this. I think I need to get a proper pen, a proper writing pen to do it with, and try again. But so what I want to do, this with the new version of this is I want to try some different ways of transferring. It's going to be more of a slow stitching project than this is, and I want to try different methods of transferring images to fabric and then stitching into them. So there's various different ways you can do it, so I'm going to experiment with them. This is a picture of a woman where they would have left the babies. Look at her, bless her, poor woman. How would you feel having to do that? So yeah, I've just started things out. I've tried to add, you know, scraps of fabric and things. I might have to retrieve some of these. I've just pinned various bits of fabric on these pearl-headed pins and stuff. I'm just not happy with how it looks, but I know I was very much moved to do it at the time, and I did the best I could at the time, but I really feel like it deserves another go. I quite liked the way that we made these books with Nik the Booksmith, using all different kinds of coffee stained, well, I use coffee rather than tea, different types of paper. So I quite liked that. It might be that I can stick bits. I might be able to retrieve some of this. I'll look into that as I go along as well, but I'm just not happy with it as it is. Yeah, so I've just, you know, I just found pictures at the time, did it a bit like a scrapbook, and then just added in these little snippets of fabric and things. Oh look, this was, I must have found this somewhere and copied it. Mr. Brownlow, dear sir, please forgive me for troubling you so soon, but will you be good enough to let me know of my dear little one? Let me know if my dear little one is any better. She was admitted November the 13th, 1771. L, letter L, 1771, letter L. That must just be some way of referencing. It has troubled me sadly to know she has been so ill, but I feel sure she is in the kindest of hands. Oh, there's a picture of, so this was later, this is later on when this picture was taken. Some pictures, I just put these in just because they showed the abject poverty that people were living in. This little one looking after an even littler one. A woman being thrown out of her home because she's got this illegitimate child. Father's seeing her out of the house even though other people are pleading with him. The missing children were given new names allocated by the governors. See, that I just hate my... The new name may be inspired by a worthy person, a significant place, or just on a whim. Two unfortunate examples are James Maggot and Hopegood Helpless. Oh yes, and then I've stuck in a picture of that one where the mum's carefully written down her name, but it was probably lost. This is a copy of, this is where I tried to copy something that was in the book. As for me, I am poor and needy, but the Lord careth for me. So that's the kind of, I'm just going to quickly whip through this. You can see that I didn't even finish it. I think I started to think, oh, this doesn't look as nice as I wanted it to, and I lost heart in it. So I probably will now rip it all apart, take out these bits that I want to save, because I still love some of them. I love the idea of using that as a token. Yeah, it's just, it needs doing again, it needs doing properly. I think that was actually an old letter that I got in a bundle of papers. I just put it there because I like to look at it, but it's not really relevant to this. But so yeah, I'm going to try, I want to experiment. I want to create some of these tokens, but do a better job than I did this time. Recreate some of these tokens rather, and I'm going to try different methods of transferring images to fabric and stitching into them, and possibly even stitching into paper a little bit as well. Oh, those little souls. So here towards the end, because that's not covered in this book, are some sort of more recent, obviously more recent because they're photos. They look quite happy there, those little girls, don't they? But I think it was not a happy experience. There we go. It was not a happy experience for many children who lived in these places. I think I've got a picture of him, so I didn't even finish this. I've got a picture of him because he was maybe the last, there was a reason for that picture of him. He was maybe the last foundling admitted or something. And that's an image that I think they actually use on the leaflets of the Foundling Hospital. Yeah, just that just sort of gives you an idea of what I've got in my head. I need to reread the book, refresh myself, take this book apart and retrieve what I can from it, I think, and start again and do a really good job with this. And I'm going to have a look online and just look at some tutorials for different ways of transferring images to fabric. I might need to get my son to print a couple of things on his laser printer for me. I think some of them need to be laser. In my mind it looks absolutely beautiful, and it really does justice to this incredible and very moving story of the Foundling Hospital. I think I'm still going to call it Tokens. If you ever get a chance to, if you're ever in London and you've got a chance to visit the Foundling Hospital, wow, yeah, it stayed with me. That was years ago I went there now. It must be at least 5 or 6 years ago, and it's still very, yeah, very much in my head. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you again really soon. Bye.